Okay, if the audio doesn't record here again, I'm just not gonna record today. Screw it, I'm asleep. But yo, what's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing good. I wanted to break down my sell here. I will be going over just a couple of things. But it's good revision for you guys, right? It's good revision for you guys. So first thing I'm gonna be going over is obviously when it comes to no POI, I use ranges when I was trading SMC. Looking at liquidity again. I'll be going over targets for where to observe possible hedge, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, well, not air quotes but quotation marks, because hedging is usually a term used when you are in a loss, so you hedge against your loss position to gain back some profits. Unless I'm not using that term correctly, then do correct me in the comment section. But this is what we'll be going over. And yeah, of course, entries, right? So okay, I took a sell from top here, and let's talk about the market direction real quick. In fact, that should have been on the number 5 list, right? Market direction, incredibly important. So when I'm looking at this, just at the weekly chart right now, as you guys know, I always look at the higher time frame first. In fact, some may say the monthly, but for me, I'm not seeing too much detail on the monthly chart. So let's just go to the weekly because I'm seeing a lot more detail. Let me tell you guys exactly what I'm looking at in all of this year. Let me tell you exactly what I am personally seeing. I'm seeing this, okay? Low made, taken, played off the breaker or whatever the heck nonsense, comes down, heads up, fails to make a higher high, and right now we are on our mission down. So if I were to mark this entire thing on a simple chart like I've drawn at the bottom, this would be seen like such. So we have ourselves the stop hunt, we have ourselves the break in structure, which I should probably illustrate with a red line instead of black. All right, and we have had our inducement here, which if you guys actually do take the time to check, this inducement that I've just drawn is a reason for price pushing to the upside here. Okay, because while we have ourselves a strong low, a weak high in comparison to this strong low, obviously makes no sense for me to look for buys in here, right? So I'll look for this liquidity to be taken, this guy to be taken first, and as you can see, that's where we swung to the upside. Okay, now with that being said, why did I look for a sell in here? Where's my target? What am I targeting, etc.? So I realized that this is a failure to make a low, weak low, because it failed to make a higher high. Simple as that. This is a weak low because we failed to make a higher high. What I would have loved to see is something like this. Boom, boom, break. But that never happened, right? That never happened. So if this is our weak low, I expect this to be one of my targets for the sell. In fact, that will be one of my major targets for the sell, because you can't just say for certain that price is going to just for sure come down here. Although that is my projection, I do project that these lows could potentially be taken, and there's a good chance that it will be. However, you can't always say that, and it's always good to pay yourself first, pay the trader first with what you're comfortable with. Okay, so first of all, I want to get something out of the way. It's just a little bit of a projection, but I'm not as good with EU as I am with gold, and even with gold, sometimes I do make mistakes, and I've never been one to cover that. I'm always keeping it real with you guys. But let me talk to you guys a little bit about my projection. I do believe that price would give us buy reasonings in here. Okay, so for certain, I will not be looking for shorts while we are inside here, because we are not in an area that is going to be giving us massive reactions for shorts. Now, of course, I could be wrong, but historically speaking, it makes no sense for you to be buying when you're in a buy. So it makes no sense for you to be selling when you're in a buy zone. Okay, now furthermore, this is a strong low, liquidity inducement of this strong low. And so I would be observing, what will I be observing? I will be observing H4 bullish breakouts in here for me to go long before a potential next sell. Okay, we've covered that real quick. Now let's talk about my sell. What exactly did I look for? Because there is no POI that I saw on the daily, at least. Now, you guys know, all of my setups come from, at the very least, the daily. At the very least, I want to understand the daily. And then I can, because if I understand something like the daily, I can pretty simply understand what's going to, you know what I mean, how I can surf the H4. You see how that flows, right? So, okay, let's take a look at this then. What I'm seeing is that, first of all, I did take a buy here. If I have this, wait, I do have the screenshot, so I'm going to put the screenshot up somewhere either right now, or I'm going to put the screenshot up at the end of the video. Either one, I think it makes sense for me to put up the screenshot of this buy right here. Why I did that, we've covered that in, I think, about 2 or 3 videos back when I did a Euro USD swing buy breakdown. I was talking about this daily strong low, right? This low takes the liquidity from here, and we break structure, and we have an inducement, price heads back, and then we had ourselves a H4 breakout right here. Liquidity taken, bullish breakout, inducement, price comes back, and of course we focus on the longs, right? Now, where do we focus on the longs into? Well, I had my first target for the buys right here at some of these intermediate highs here on the intraday, because it was going to come towards the end of the week soon, and I wanted to take some positions off, all right? I didn't want to really manage anything besides gold, so if I'm in a position on any other currency pairs, I usually like to take some conservative partials first, not massive ones, but just some conservative partials, and then I just hold them, and I don't want to manage them for too long, all right? For very often at least, all right? So when price heads up, right, where I wanted to liquidate a massive amount of my positions was at these equal highs, because what I'm seeing is this. Let me tell you guys a little bit of a story here. You see this? You want to know what that's doing? That is literally the model, one of the, I think, 2 or 3 higher time frame POI models that I've sent to the AKFX Telegram channel, which you can find in the only link in the description. If you guys can't find it because it's there. And you can see this is basically doing this, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then here, where I took the sell, was that. Do you see? Now let me show you guys that one more time. This is this. These are these. And this guy is this guy. Simple. I hope you guys can follow and track this. If you want, pause the video, right? But this is incredibly simple. This is just how I'm viewing the liquidity. I'm viewing this liquidity to be taken, and I will look for sells. Now, of course, it will make a lot of sense if price came to a higher time frame POI, like a daily bearish order block or supply candle or whatever you want to call this stuff, okay? But again, price never has to go all the way up here, remember? Price never has to go all the way up. I always told you guys this. It can just take your liquidity and drop, okay? So what did I see? All I did was, now guys, remember this. This comes back to what I've taught you guys before as well already. If, for example, we have a daily zone here, whatever bullish order block bullshit, whatever you want to call that stuff. This is a daily. What I will be looking for in here for a confirmation of a buy would be a H4 and H1 bullish breakout. Okay, so price enters and does something like this. For example, that is what I will be looking, H4, H1, because we're dealing with the daily. Weekly, I will look for this on the daily and H4, not on the M1. I'm sure there's a lot of you guys that are, really, really much better than me out there. You would use a daily zone and use an M1 and freaking fail 97 times before you get 3 trades correct. But that's not me, right? I'm trying to be on that win rate wave, and I'm succeeding so far because I'm using higher time frame confirmations. Okay, similar way, I use this is my daily, right? Again, I practice what I preach or preached, and here we have our confirmation. SL taken, or not SL, but yeah, it is the stop loss taken, break of structure, right? And the retracement back. Basically, it's just a bullish QM or a SH BMS RTO, or in the most simple terms, all of these SH BMS RTO and QM stuff, it's all just been copied from inverted head and shoulders patterns, bullish head and shoulders pattern. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, it's just a head and shoulders pattern. There's nothing fancy to it, right? But as usual, I want to liquidate at this top here, and as usual, price can just take the liquidity and run. So what did I see on the lower time frame? I wanted to look for a H4 because we're dealing with the daily. I wanted to look for a H4 bearish sign, a bearish QM, if you will. Okay, and what we can see here is exactly that. Okay, so firstly, we took the liquidity right here. Let's not confuse ourselves, right there. So we took the liquidity here, took that liquidity. Okay, we didn't take it here, we took it by this guy. All right, now price goes there, and basically, as you can see, I'm going to delete this right now. It's getting messy. We have ourselves our stop hunt. We have a H4 break of structure. We have a high that failed to make the low. Okay, this is what I wanted to go over. Let me take a sip of my tea real quick. This is where a lot of you guys get a bit confused at. Let me just take a sip of my tea. Give me a sec. Okay, tea today got a bit cold quick because I was meant to finish the video already. But when you're looking at this, you guys are getting a bit confused here. Nothing wrong with confusion, but understand it and don't be confused again. Right? We got our SH, got our BMS. Okay, now you guys are saying, or some of you guys may be thinking, here we have a break. This guy breaks it. What you fail to understand is to go from the left to the right. Follow the money, as people say. People like to throw that term around. Follow the money. Right? This high failed to create a lower low, meaning that this high should be taken in the future. Makes sense for the high to be taken in the future. Now, does that mean that you're not going to be seeing M15 strong highs like this? Look here, right? Liquidity taken by him, strong high, weak lows, inducement. So you enter a sell, stop loss above, price goes down. And of course, you will be targeting this guy, right? H4, weak low. Okay, why is that the H4 weak low? Let's go to the H4 and see. Strong high, weak low. Okay, so that makes sense. But whenever price breaks structure, creates new lows, creates new highs in a bullish or bearish scenario, respectively, it is always a good habit to go back to a higher time frame like a H4 daily and see what the narrative is. For me, I'm seeing things very, very simply. Here we have a SHBMS, our RTO, and here we fail to create a lower low. We failed to create a lower low. Now, coming back to YouTube support and resistance. Okay, first thing is, if you can't already see that this is a weak high and that price should come up and we enter here. Now, again, a lot of you guys are wondering, oh, Avi, how would you enter on a lower time frame, man? It's so hard. You know, like I didn't see any lower time frame M1 bearish QM. Or over here, I didn't see anything like that. Who the hell told you? No. Listen. Let's talk about this. Who the hell told you that there's going to be an M1 bearish QM to give you an entry? Who told you that? Who told you that it can't just come, take the liquidity from this guy and hit down? Who told you can't do that? I certainly didn't, right? Price does not need to give you anything in here. Does not need to ever at all. If there is, good for you. Okay? But price can simply come, nick him, and go like it has done here. The only reason you guys do not want to have an SL up here is because you want to be seen to be catching the best RR in the world. When what you fail to understand is that if you were to have an entry right here and you understand your take profits, okay, this is what? Just a 12 pip stop loss, 11 pip stop loss. Okay, and you understand your take profit, which we'll get into in a second, you would have made over 1 to 10 R. And the thing is, you would have held the trade as well, which I will be going over very, very soon. Okay, so stop chasing RR in the short term, because when you understand your market direction, you're going to get good returns regardless. All right, stop focusing on precision and start focusing on the market's direction. I couldn't care less about your wick entries if you're just gonna have the price come back to your break even and stop you out at the end of the day. Makes no sense. Okay, of course, even I get stop outs. Of course I do. Of course I get break even hits, but it's of such a small degree, it's insane, right? And that comes with understanding. Okay, coming back to this. What I meant by the whole support and resistance thing is that if you can't see that this is a weak high and price comes up to nick it and go down, can you see this? Again, I always like to suggest people with different choices because I don't know what people are going to view things as. Can you look at this really quick for me? Can you see that we have a double top? Can you see that we have a support? Boom. Turn resistance. Boom. Price comes back to this resistance, gives you an engulfing to sell for the retail. Retails are fiending over this, bro. Let me tell you that. Retails are fiending over this sell. Okay? Why? Because they have their support, their little support line here. Okay? And they have their little YouTube support and resistance. Again, guys, this is nothing to do with any other kind of support and resistance, but they have their YouTube support and resistance right here. Okay? And they're like, oh, trend lines, brother. Okay, we have ourselves a trend lines, and then they'll be like, oh, see? Breakout. Okay? They have themselves the bearish engulfing candlestick. What do they want to do? They want to sell. Stop loss above here. Price comes back and takes their entire double top out. And now they are wondering, well, shit, what do I do now? And then they either start entering into buys. Why do they start entering into buys? You guys want to know why they start entering into buys? Because resistance turned into support. Bullish engulfing confirmation. Oh, shit, yeah, that makes so much sense, right? They have, I don't know what kind of trend lines they're going to have. All right? And they just get freaking stopped out of their sell and then their buy because it's bullish engulfing, right? Resistance becomes support. And then they just get stopped out because they fail to understand, right? It's not even anything to do about liquidity. You can do this stuff without liquidity, trust me, right? I do that on a daily basis without any form of that stuff. But the point is here, you guys are focusing on smart money, right? They fail to understand their market direction. The only place I would look for buys, is here. In here. This is an imbalanced close. Price comes inside, what would I look for? I would look for H4 bullishness. Okay, H4, H1 bullishness. Why? Because is this not a daily setup? SH, BMS, price comes back, right? I want to look for a buy, right? Now we'll get into that in a second on why that's low probability. But besides that, there wasn't even a reaction. Coming back to the sell, you can understand from a form of how retail are viewing double top, right? Double top, break of the neckline, retest, and a bearish engulfing candlestick. And they want to fiend over this sell. But no, they get taken out. And then we go. Now, you guys as smart money, you need to understand what is your strong high. You need to understand what is your strong high. Okay? And you need to understand the liquidity into it. And I've already given you guys reasons as to why this is a weak high. If you guys still don't get that reason, don't ask me because I won't answer you guys. Go and rewatch this video. I literally tell you guys why this is a weak high from the start. Okay? Okay. Let's go into targets now. Before we go into targets, I want to talk a little bit about how I would have guessed, not guessed, but how I would have predicted that this low was going to be taken. Okay? Let's take a look. What do we like to see on a higher time frame, guys? Any time frame. What do we like to see, guys? Right? Bullish QM, for example. What do we like to see? Do we like to see this? Buy here? No, I don't. I don't know about you guys. I don't care about you guys. I don't like to see that. I like to see this though. I like to see this though. I like to see, sorry, I messed that one up. I like to see something like this though. Right? What do we have here? What do we have here? Boom. Boom. What the hell is this? This is doing this. Oh, my bad. I'm not drawing it properly. I'm sorry. That's low probability. Doesn't mean it can't work. It has worked in the past. It has worked. Yeah, it has. But it's low probability. Okay? Besides all of that, I mean, you can take buys based off of that strong low. It's low probability in my eyes, sure, but who cares about my eyes? If you want to take it, you can. But where is the lower time frame breakout to the upside? There is none. Okay? So when you are selling from this daily, do you realize that your target are these lows? Why? Because haven't we discussed in the beginning of this video that we have this strong high, this weak low. Furthermore, we have this weekly weak low, which is in fact feeding liquidity to the strong low on the weekly, which is where I would observe some bullish breakouts for buys. Okay, whether it's swing or not, I don't care. It depends on the daily. To be quite honest with you, it depends on the daily. But I am more so bearish on. I'm fully bearish on Euro USD at the moment. Fully bearish. Like, I will not buy in here. I don't care if price flies. I will not buy in here. I expect this thing to be taken out. Weak low, failed to create higher high. You're selling here. Your first take profit, right, will be to observe whether we have any bullish breakouts here, because this is still a daily strong low. Okay, but there is none. There is no bullish breakout. So what the hell are you doing taking your profits? All right, you can hold. I would hold. Okay, and then I would for sure liquidate some here, and I will take major partials here. Okay, I don't care if price goes all the way down here. Nobody in this world can 100% certain, 10 times out of 10, nobody in this world can say, even the algo in the market maker can say that price is gonna hit all the way down here. I'm just joking about the market maker thing, because there is no person that is the market maker. It's algorithms driving price. But you get the point. There is no human being that can tell you for 100% certainty that price is for sure going to hit down here. For sure, 100%. There is no. But there is a likelihood that it will. There's a likelihood that it will. Right? So you can't tell for sure. So because of this, I can be very sure. But what if? So what do you do in that case? You pay yourself first at safe targets. You pay yourself first. You get your money out of the market first. The longer you spend with your money in the market, the more risk you have of not even making a dime. And that is simply facts, which is why I say pay yourself first. But when you're starting off, you're going to pay yourself at 10 pips or whatever the heck. But when you're experienced and when you understand price, you will pay yourself at logical targets. The first logical target being here, and to observe H4 bullish breakouts. If there is none, you pay yourself here. I would pay myself there. I'm not a financial advisor, right? I'm just telling you guys what I would do. Next logical payout will be here, and I'll take a hefty sum out of this one. Let's say I took 50% of my position here, right? I would then take 40%, for example. I didn't actually take 50%, but I would take 40% here, and I'll just leave 10% to do whatever the heck it wants to do. Right? If 10% comes down here, I can take that 10%, but guess what? That 10% is going to be generating you a lot of money if it comes down here. But the best part is, if it doesn't generate you a lot of money and comes back to hit your break even, that's fine, because you've taken 90% out of the market at very logical targets. You've taken one, right? You've taken one. Why is my MT4 so shit? Okay, you've taken one at about 140 pips, 130, my bad, 130 pips. Another one here at about 170 pips. You've paid yourself. You're done. You're done. You're not just taking your liquidity based off of some 10 pip model. It's bullshit, right? Make it make sense. Make it logical. Okay? So that's it, guys. And I hope you've taken something away from this. I hope you understand now why I was looking for a sell here. Quick recap. We have this sell, buy, sell, inducement, liquidity taken, H4 bearish QM, price induces. Sounds really dirty, that word, I get it. Price induces, and when I'm viewing this, I'm like, oh yeah, makes sense. A lot of people be like, oh look, bearish breakout, right? Double top, neckline broken, oh my god, engulfing sell, bearish trendline, bullish trendline breakout, oh my gosh, right? Look at this pendant and stuff. This is the retail way, okay? This is the retail way of how YouTube support and resistance views price. It's not how it should be done. Oh my gosh, and all that stuff. And then they take the sell, right? Okay, and that doesn't make sense. Price comes up and takes the liquidity and then nicks and goes down, right? So that is how it would have been done. Now, when you understand that, you will also understand how your RR would have been absolutely fantastic, right? You would have been risking about 13 pips, right? And you would have gotten yourself well over 10R. And that's insane, because you're holding your trade, because you understand what the hell to look for as red flags, and you understand what the hell your targets are. Thank you very much. It's been AKFX. Have a wonderful day, and see you guys in the next one. Peace out.